The Supreme Court has cleared the way for Alabama to redraw its congressional map ahead of the midterm elections. In a 6-3 ruling, the nation's highest court allowed the state to use a Republican-drawn map that eliminates one of two majority black districts. Less than 2 weeks ago, the court voided Louisiana's congressional map, you'll remember, after determining it relied too heavily on race. And in both decisions, all Republican-appointed judges ruled in the majority, and all Democratic-appointed justices dissented. The Supreme Court could also weigh in on redistricting in Virginia soon. Democratic leaders filed an emergency request with the court to restore its voter-approved congressional map. Virginia's Supreme Court tossed it out Friday. The districts on that map favored Democrats. Marc Morial joins us now. He is the CEO of the National Urban League, a civil rights and urban advocacy organization, and someone I know very well. Marc, good to have you back on CBS today. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You are staunchly opposed to this landmark Supreme Court ruling deeming Louisiana's congressional map invalid. Help our viewers understand why you see this decision as anti-democratic.
This decision by the Supreme Court is irresponsible. The Supreme Court engaged in, I call it legal jujitsu, constitutional gymnastics, to overturn one of the most important laws passed by the Congress, that being the Voting Rights Act. And they did it in a way that was highly partisan, highly political, to allow something we've never seen in modern America, and that is mid-term redistricting for the congressional maps. It's all designed to give the Republicans an unfair advantage and to give them an opportunity to, in effect, steal back a majority where it was clear that with fair maps they would lose. Keep an eye on the South. In Tennessee, in Alabama, in Louisiana, in Florida, and South Carolina, Republican legislators in those states have turned back to the tactics of the 1950s. And those tactics are to marginalize and gerrymander, and yes, intentionally use race to diminish the voting power of black voters. You're going to see it in other states like Texas, to do it not only to black voters, but also to Asian and Latino voters. This decision strikes at the heart of American democracy, and the Supreme Court, which has a responsibility towards fairness and justice, has basically become a partisan political court made up, I think, of political hacks who decide what they want the outcome to be, and then they go back and try to justify it in their decision. So it's important to understand that American democracy requires, and I think demands, that every community have a seat at the decision-making table in the Congress and state legislatures, in city councils and county commissions. And this decision undermines that basic principle.
Well, in pushing back on that, in the majority opinion, Justice Samuel Alito said there was, quote, no compelling interest to justify using race to create Louisiana's map. And I know that you've said this is the danger, the illusion of neutrality, that maps can be race blind. Do you think that in some ways this could fire back on Republicans and it may galvanize voters in many of these places, specifically in the South?
Justice Alito has a habit of being, in his decisions, very anti-civil rights, very anti-black, very anti, I think, the Constitution insofar as the Equal Protection Clause is concerned. And what he's done is he has green-lit the use of race in redistricting. All you've got to do is call it partisan. Say, I'm doing it for political purposes to enhance Republican or Democratic, if you will, majorities, and therefore it's not racial, unless, or racially discriminatory, unless you can intentionally prove it. Justice Alito has been hostile to the Voting Rights Act. He's been hostile to civil rights. He's never voted one time since he's been on the court. He's a political justice with a political agenda. And that is why it's important for those that love the Supreme Court and love the Constitution to call out that this Supreme Court has stepped to new depths to stretch and to reach and overturn long-standing precedent. The Voting Rights Act has been upheld numerous times. The only thing that has changed is the composition of the court.
And
with
Marc,
these three.
let me ask you this just before we run out of time,
Yeah.
because you feel that this won't just impact black voters, but all voters. Just quickly explain to our viewers how. So,
Anyone who loves democracy and believes in fair representation, this decision allows legislatures and ultimately city councils to engage in highly partisan gerrymandering. Now, that's not good for the nation, where a state that's a Republican state tries to make all their districts Republican. A Democratic state tries to make all their districts Democratic. They're going to disenfranchise minority voters, and other states are going to disenfranchise other voters. This is not 21st century American democracy. We fought battles in the 60s and in the 70s or in the 20th century to make the system of elections fairer. And we achieved a fairer system of elections. This Supreme Court is reversing that progress, and I'm disappointed in it. And there will be resistance to it throughout the summer and on an ongoing basis, I can assure you.
well, Marc Morial knows this issue very well. Viewers should look into his work. We appreciate you sharing some of your insight with us today, Marc. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.